on the planet's face. Some insects called the human race. Lost in time. Lost in space. And meaning. Very bleak, dark, heavy words to end one of my favourite rock operas of all time on, given that that's what we're covering this month. But that isn't the takeaway. That is not the message you're meant to leave with. I don't think this piece would have the rabid, devoted, fanatical fan base that it does, if that's what we were meant to leave with the impression of. There's a lot of hope and optimism. It marries the two very well. It can definitely move between the ridiculous and the sublime, the humorous and the serious. This is, of course, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, the 70s version with Tim Curry, Meatloaf, Susan Sarandon, Barry Bostwick, Patricia Quinn, Richard O'Brien, Little Nell. The list goes on. Everyone did a great job in this, which is why I needed to reference so many people, because they all did an amazing job. And I'm using this as one, it's the filmed version that everyone knows, so we're all on the same page, and it's not a specific stage version that some people may not have seen. And a lot of people I know didn't like the redone one recently, so we'll just pretend that doesn't exist. But this is a weird one for this list. Unlike the others, I didn't sort of gravitate towards it pretty quickly. I didn't go, this is weird, but I love it. This one took a number of years from my first exposure to actually giving myself over to it, if you will, and embracing it. The first 2-3 times I managed to watch any of it, I don't think I'd ever seen it in full for a while. It was always like halfway through, or maybe a third of the way through, and it was on TV. But I was squirming from about the halfway point, give or take. I'm sure many people can probably figure out why, but I didn't for many years. But it was so uncomfortable. It was always putting me on edge. I didn't want to sit and watch it. And I think most of the times that I started watching it, I gave up, say, before the last third. The final sort of act. But, as I said last time, Hedwig opened a lot of doors for me, internally. A lot of the ability to see myself as I was and accept that. So, after Hedwig, I managed to watch Rocky again. I exposed myself to it. And I'm glad I did. That acceptance, I guess, of myself from Hedwig made me figure out why I was so uncomfortable. It was a mirror. Not quite explicitly one-to-one comparison. I've never been in exactly that scenario. But this idea of a fluid, non-binary sexuality was something that I was only really coming to terms with very slowly over my life. The idea was there in my brain. I didn't, realise until many years later that, in fact, it's a wide spectrum. And you can be at various points on that, in theory, all at the same time. But once I'd made that connection with it, that was it then. I went to a live stage performance, fully dressed up to the nines. If I can get that picture, it will be up right now. And that's how much I embraced it. Like I said before, I gave myself over to absolute pleasure. Yeah. And I really enjoyed it for what it was. But it still has that dark ending, which, to some might be, well, how does that marry with the rest of it? The rest is this ridiculous B-movie kind of tale. Of aliens coming down and trying to integrate but failing drastically, and one of them going completely renegade and trying to kill people left, right and centre. How does that marry itself, that ridiculousness and the whole sexuality thing, to this ending? But that piece, it's one of my favourite pieces because it has these dark moments, but there's a musical break before that narrator bit that I quoted at the start that's very hopeful and uplifting. So even the song itself has that. And a lot of the songs, if you look at them, have that dichotomy. And that's one of the beautiful things of this piece. Everything is so well crafted, and hats off to Richard O'Brien. He weaves this tale and draws us into the world so he can say, look, we're just people idly milling about, we're not making an impact on the world. We're not making an impact to anything in a grand scale. Cosmically, we're nothing. Nothing we do means anything in that grand scale, so why don't we enjoy ourselves while we're here? And that's what people have walked away with. It's acceptance in who you are, acceptance in who others are, the ability to laugh at yourself, the ability to embrace new ideas, new concepts, new modes of being, but knowing that it doesn't matter. We've got one life to live, so let's make the most of it. I know to some people the idea of a lack of purpose, I suppose, or a lack of meaning is quite depressing, is quite stifling, and, you know, it's a terrifying idea that there is no purpose. But I think if you embrace that idea, then if there is a purpose, you've technically come out on top, because you've lived your life going, well, maybe nothing I do matters, so I'll just do the best I can. And then find that, oh, actually, I've made the world a better place. That's great. So that's why people love this. You know, as well as the music and the whole theatricality of it, the melodrama. There's a lot to love in this, and I'm really glad that I gave it another shot, because I would have been closing off so much. One of my other favourite lyrics is the whole, you know, don't dream it, be it. If that's not a hopeful message, we all walk around going, oh, I should do this. You know, there's the old adage, everyone's got a novel inside them. And yeah, if you stop dreaming it and just being it, live your life as though that's what you're doing, then good things could happen. Maybe not, but it's worth a try. If we don't try, we'll never know. And that's a really positive way of looking at things. So those are my thoughts on the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And like I say, it does apply to any version you've seen, but it's the version everyone knows, it's the filmed media, etc. But next time, it's something that I do enjoy, but I don't think it holds as big a place in my heart as it does for someone else. So we should have a very special guest next week, and I do hope you'll join me then. But until then, as always, thanks for watching, and take care.